Me and you, we could rule hell together as partners.
Oh, fuck!
In Season 2, Hazbin Hotel continued to make Alastor such a compelling ace character, and as fellow ace in the holes, we couldn't be happier.
What now?
Hello, I'm Blue Moon.
And I'm Red Moon.
And since we made our original video nearly 2 years ago,
a lot has happened inside and outside the show in regards to Alastor's asexuality.
So, given the fact that we are very normal about Alastor,
We wanted to discuss every little detail, plotline, nuance, and controversy. So buckle up, bitch, and let's analyze this ace.
Ow! Yow!
What the fuck was that? I don't know.
Anyone else got shit to say? I'm from fucking Florida.
In our last video, we said Alastor was great ace rep because his sexuality was actually stated in the show.
He broke a lot of common ace stereotypes.
The Has-Been Merged team respected his asexuality
And his relationships with other characters subverted expectations.
and had the potential to allow for further exploration of his identity.
Flash forward to Season 2, and Alastor continued to break ace stereotypes.
The Merged team continued to respect his asexuality.
And his relationships delivered on the potential that we saw.
Yeah, we still can't believe we predicted almost everything about Vox and Alastor's relationship.
I think we're like psychics or something.
Yeah, we're just kind of,
Cool, like
Yeah, we deities? What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. Let me tell you what I think they're giving. They're giving they had a good friendship or mentorship at one point, and so Vox caught feelings and potentially confessed to Alastor. Alastor declined, and that started the downfall of their relationship.
But now, on top of all of that, it was just confirmed that Alastor's asexuality will be explored even further in future seasons.
And we may have just learned that Alastor may be aromantic too. So before we dive into how Alastor was portrayed in Season 2,
Let's talk about this good news first,
because knowing how Vivian Madrano, the creator of Has-Been Hotel, views his sexuality
will help us analyze each scene with more, scrutiny.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
On January 17th of this year, Viv quote tweeted a post that read, "All asexual experiences are valid, and it's unfair to put all the responsibility of representation to such a wide spectrum on one single character."
and added, I'm very excited to explore Alastor's ace identity in the show. It's a journey, as Alastor doesn't exactly understand this about himself yet.
Yeah, he sure doesn't.
I know you're an ace in the hole.
What now?
And I can't wait to get there. And if you were wondering, this was our reaction after reading her post at 12 o'clock at night when she originally posted it.
I know I won. I know I won. I'm like winning.
If you watched our original video, you know we almost cried like little babies the first time we heard Rosie call Alastor an ace in the hole.
So the fact that Alastor could possibly be getting a whole mini story arc involving his sexuality means the fucking world to us.
But this tweet also surprised us because back in the day, Viv said she knew where Alastor fell on the ace spectrum,
But didn't want to confirm where because she wanted to let people, quote, have their fun.
which basically means she was scared to upset shippers.
Well, that's why I've been very quiet on whether or not Al is aromantic or not, because I'm just like, I don't want to spoil anyone's fun. It's not really story relevant, so let's just go with whatever you want. I know the answer, but I won't say.
So we love how she has seemingly switched up on that opinion.
Because her refusal to give Alastor a more specific label was our biggest gripe with how his asexuality had been handled.
Good representation in media is always important,
But it's so important for underrepresented groups.
asexual representation in mainstream media is so hard to come by that when we came out in 2022, we had to make a whole YouTube video explaining what the fuck we were talking about, because no one we knew had even heard about the label before.
And if you want to compare, there are only 72 confirmed ace characters in all of media ever, according to Wikipedia.
While there are 614 gays,
521 bisexuals,
144 lesbians,
108 pansexuals,
and
2 billion straights.
So we think it's amazing his aceness went from being mentioned once in a tweet to now potentially being explored in one of the most in-demand cartoons.
Yeah, that's Has-Been Hotel in the Guinness Book of World Records.
But a lot of people have told us they discovered they were ace because of Alastor, and that's just because of one line.
Just imagine what a whole storyline could do for people.
Not to mention, a large chunk of Has-Been enjoyers are casual fans. I know that's hard to believe.
Our brother, mom, and friends who have casually watched the show show would be exposed to an ace-centered storyline for the first time in their lives. Asexuality is often referred to as the invisible orientation, and it's often treated like it's invisible because the damn letter always gets cut off in the acronym. Most people still think the A stands for allies, bro. So as ace people ourselves, being able to point to a big piece of media with an ace storyline in it would be extremely validating. Like, look, I'm not just making up a new word to feel special. This is a real thing. Although, unfortunately, Viv was right to be scared of the shippers because right after she tweeted this, people started acting like Radio Apple killed their grandma. She never even mentioned how his journey would be explored, and she didn't even say she would give Al a micro label. But I seriously saw shipping wars, ace phobia, and death threats on my timeline for a week straight. All because people jumped to conclusions. Which is why I think they haven't said Alastor is aromantic yet. Hear us out. In September of 2025, Amir Talai, Alastor's voice actor, and our father who adopted us and then gave birth to us, yep, catch up, said this.
Hey Amir, is Alastor ace? Is Alastor arrow ace? Is that canon? All right, it depends what your definition of canon is. Now, for me, canon is whatever you see in the show, right? Now, at one point, Rosie says you're an ace in the hole to Alastor. So that is a clear implication that he is ace or asexual. Now, is he arrow ace? That's not referred to in the show. However, Viv has very clearly stated in the past that she feels, and she created this character, that Alastor is arrow ace. So it really depends on what you think. Is it something that's in the show? Then the only thing that's canon is that he's ace. But if you think canon is whatever is in the creator's head, which is a totally fair way to think about it, then he's arrow ace. Up to you.
And I take this to mean that Alastor is arrow ace, but since it's not explicitly stated in the show yet, you can believe whatever you want for the time being. This would also explain why right after season 1 aired, Amir kept calling Alastor arrow ace and then backtracking.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that you labeled it without him going, well, I'm arrow ace. You know what I mean? Which wouldn't make sense. It's giving he heard Viv say Alastor was arrow and then repeated it, because why would that be a bad thing to do? It shouldn't be a bad thing to do. Like the original tweet Viv quoted said, Alastor can't possibly perfectly represent every single ace person's experiences because, say it with us, asexuality is a spectrum. And Alastor is just one.
Red guy.
We get that every ace person wants to feel represented by Alastor, but in order to have more specific ace rep, somebody has to be a loser, baby. Even if he gets confirmed as arrow ace, we still don't know where he falls under that spectrum. So everyone freaking out over if he'd want to fuck, hold hands, or not just needs to chill out and wait to see what they're cooking. Plus, we still got 2 aces in the Helliverse, so you still have a chance to get your specific representation. Also, guys, if you enjoy shipping Alastor with other characters, his canon sexuality shouldn't matter. So stop policing people playing pretend. It's not a morally wrong thing to do. Arrow ace people can still date and fuck. I feel like everybody forgets that. But regardless, no matter how Viv decides to explore Alastor's asexuality, we believe she's got us covered. Because fun fact, she's also ace herself. One of us, one of us, one of us. I love that she somehow made one of her favorite characters asexual and didn't realize she was ace herself. I feel like that's a canon event. I've done that actually. Anyways, we'll talk about what we think Alastor's future ace journey could potentially look like at the end of this video. But let's finally talk about what they already showed us in season 2.
Oh no, he's hot!
In our last video, we said we liked how much the show and merch team respected Alastor's more modest fashion sense in season 1. Especially when people were dying for the show to whore him out Valentino style. Like, I remember people thirsting over his forearms and Hell's Greatest Dad like they were a Victorian man seeing a woman's ankles for the first time. They could have easily made bank off of scantily clad Alastor merch, but they didn't. And a lot of ace people like us really appreciated that. Don't ask us why we have this. Someone gave it to us, I swear. But when season 2 came out, a tiny subsection of fans were surprised and mad at the fact that Alastor was basically, very hot this season. Like, we didn't just get elbows, we got a full chest, French, and suggestive tongue movements. Some Alastor defenders argued it was wrong to sexualize an ace character, and were upset at the show for seemingly caving and giving thirsty Alastor sips
what they wanted.
But dare we say, ace people shouldn't get their ace rights revoked
Just because they're hot. In media, asexuals tend to be portrayed as innocent, shy, nerdy, socially inept, sexually inexperienced, and white.
And sadly, because of this trend, ace people in real life will often have their sexuality questioned if they don't fit into those stereotypes.
For example, Yasmin Benoit, an ace activist and lingerie model, faces this type of ace phobia all of the time.
If you're asexual, why do you look like that? Why'd you do your hair? Why'd you wear makeup? Why are you wearing skinny jeans? Are you trying to entice a man with your eyeliner? Like, why else would you wear it? Which sounds like very bizarre, but I really thought that we were beyond that in a society to assume that everything that someone does to their appearance is to sexually attract someone, but that's how people still think. And I realized this because they have this, again, a Sheldon Cooper-esque idea of what asexuality is like, and they don't really get to see how diverse the community is. Like, it's all different ages, races, nationalities, religions.
So we're unfortunately not surprised. Some people had such a strong reaction to Alastor being very, overtly attractive in season 2.
Don't get us wrong, he was definitely attractive in season 1. We love that he subverted most ace stereotypes by being a mixed-race, charismatic Tumblr sexy man who was definitely not innocent.
But we are weirdly glad they amplified his Tumblr sexiness because it challenges people's views on what asexual people can look like.
You aren't any less ace because you're attractive or like to dress up. Now, did they make these scenes knowing they would be something people would
Goon tooth.
There's so
Yes, most definitely.
But Your Honor, these scenes are literally plot relevant and make sense for his character. Hear us out.
The first time we see Alastor's chest wound is when he's literally in his room alone getting ready for the day.
God forbid an ace person has to put clothes on, first of all. Second of all, this scene is necessary to establish that Alastor is still facing the consequences of his stupid egotistical actions.
This might be a hot take, but anyway, they could have shown his chest wound would have been perceived as hot because Alastor is innately hot.
Honestly, they showed as much as they needed to.
Because if they were really whoring him out, they could have shown him with his full shirt off in the bathroom or the bathtub.
Like, besides his shirt being open, he is fully clothed.
I've seen some people jokingly say they had Alastor drink and smoke in this scene just because it's hot.
But guys, don't you forget! This scene was also meant to reveal that Alastor's barely stitched together wound is barely healed, and that he's been treating the pain with alcohol and cigarettes.
Like a dumbass.
Also, it sort of foreshadows the fact that Alastor is fed up with being at the hotel before we see him verbally admit it.
That's it. Fuck this. I quit.
If you've ever had a job you hate, you've definitely been mentally here before clocking in for your shift.
Also, I love that the more we get to see under Alastor's carefully crafted mask, the more unkempt he looks.
Like, he goes from sitting properly to manspreading at Rosie's, smiling with ease to barely holding that shit on.
And his stitches go from looking badass to being symbolic of the fact that he's quite literally barely holding himself together.
And that he's avoiding the power of friendship, which we'll get into later.
But considering all of this, it makes sense that he isn't wearing his iconic ratty-ass jacket in this scene.
Because we're seeing underneath his radio demon persona. This also explains why he's less dressed during his flashback, since we're finally seeing him for who he truly is. A human with a very fucked up sense of justice.
And maybe a little bit of spiritual psychosis, cause how the fuck did he think this was gonna work?
Anyways, Alastor licking blood off his fingers did give me a massive ick the first time I saw it. Sorry. I jokingly sent for Alastor. That gave me an ick. Mostly because out of everything, it felt like the most gooner bait shit I have ever seen in my entire life.
But it was honestly a super smart and quick way to confirm that Alastor was a French-speaking cannibal when he was alive.
Just like how this scene was a super smart way to reconfirm that Vox is a freak.
Okay, this scene works because number one, it puts Alastor at a low point in the fight so he could be saved by Husk and Nifty.
Number two, it foreshadows Vox and Alastor reopening old wounds later in the episode.
And number three, it perfectly symbolizes their relationship.
Which we'll get into later, but if you find this scene hot, that's on you.
You freak, we know what you're into.
Anyways, even if all of these scenes were just put in for the sake of fan service, there would be nothing wrong with that.
Because like we said, it's not illegal for ace people to be hot.
If it was, we would have been arrested a long time ago. Okay, boo, boo, tomatoes, tomatoes. Oh, and minor note, I think it's funny that even though we got all of this, Alastor Sims cosplaying Victorian men still thirst over his forearms. Some things never change. Y'all bitches still be thirsty.
Well, hello there, you wayward sinner. Do you like blood, violence, and depravity of a sexual nature? Of course you do. That's why you're in hell.
Besides making one sex joke in season 1, Alastor didn't outright subvert the sexually inexperienced ace trope.
Well, until now. Sam Haft, one of Has-Been's songwriters, said that he thinks part of the secret to Alastor's successes and failures is that he's willing to give anything to have everything.
He said Alastor's got this Odysseus-like compulsion to prove his genius against overwhelming odds at every opportunity.
And that for Alastor, victory is only sporting if it's a challenge.
So we just love how Alastor basically uses flirtation as a manipulation tactic twice in season 2.
All I ask for in exchange is 2 tiny, itty-bitty conditions.
The fuck is he doing?
What conditions?
Knock, knock, Rosie, my dear. Alastor's here.
Oh, Alastor.
You could read Alastor using baby talk as a way to demean Vox and to downplay what he was about to ask for, but come on, 2 things can be true at once.
Alastor is the male manipulator. You can't argue. He doesn't know what he's doing here.
Even if we're wrong and he's not intentionally flirting, why would Alastor be above doing so?
Especially considering how in the same episode, we see him literally amplify his own cuteness in a piss-poor attempt to try getting Rosie to fix his staff.
Yeah, Alastor acts like a sitcom husband and brings flowers and fingers to Rosie's in his attempt to get on her good side because he knows she likes romance and being catered to.
Romance? My specialty.
So he dressed up in her favorite colors to go see her.
You're still as cute and stubborn as the day we met. You were a handsome young man. Such a charmer.
I think people forget that Alastor will do just about anything to get what he wants.
As evident by him literally ruining his entire reputation and signing up for electroshock therapy just for more power.
The ends truly justify the means for him, so I love how even using his good looks and charm isn't off the table just because he's ace.
And potentially Arrow too. Which is why I don't understand how people got so angry at the idea of Alastor flirting for his own gain. A month ago, I talked about the Al-Ace Temptress theory, which basically brings up the idea that Alastor could have potentially flirted with a few of the men he killed on Earth in order to lure them into the woods. Check out this short if you want to hear the whole thing, but a surprising amount of people got mad at me in the comments. And guys, just because some asexual people might not want sex for themselves,
because yes, some ace people have sex, how many times do we have to say that?
That doesn't mean they don't know how to play the game.
Baby, I'm an ace in hell. That's kind of our thing.
I knew you could be pathetic at times, but I didn't realize you were so weak.
What?
Alright, hold on to your spindle horses. We're gonna be talking about the iconic bar scene.
Yeah, the scene that makes every ace person feel seen.
And is, in our opinion, the first step in Alastor's ace journey.
You know, the one that Viv said will be explored in the future.
But before we get into all of that, let's talk about if Vox had or currently has a crush on Alastor.
Because we all have to be on the same page for the rest of this video to make sense, okay? Okay.
So Vox, what do you think of Alastor?
What do I think of Alastor? What do I think? But I hate him, and he will be mine, and I will destroy him. Trust me on that.
We think that is the perfect way to describe Vox's present-day obsession with Alastor.
Obviously, it's toxic and unhealthy, but it makes sense because it stems from Vox being humiliated during his most vulnerable moment.
Think about it. Vox spent his entire life being envious of others, literally killing anyone in a position he wanted and taking their place,
just for him to be the spotlight and center of attention,
only for him to get to hell and meet Alastor.
As someone in a position of power he wanted.
With your incredible power.
But for once, instead of being vengefully jealous immediately, Vox, for whatever reason, genuinely idolized and liked Alastor. What caused this switch up? I don't know. I'm thinking Vox saw himself in Al because they are very similar.
And maybe they found common ground in being fucking crazy or something.
But either way, maybe because of that, for the first time in Vox's entire life and afterlife,
he decided he wanted to share the spotlight with someone else.
We would be unstoppable. Radio and video. Me and you. We could rule hell. Together. as partners.
Viv said in a recent interview that asking Alastor to team up was a very vulnerable thing for Vox to do.
Because he was letting a guard down he's had since he was a human.
A wall that was very difficult to let go of.
Especially considering the time period he was from. Wink, wink.
He was an egomaniac. He was a violent man. He did these horrible things when he was alive, and he was a cult leader. So he's a master manipulator. He's very charismatic. But in that moment with Alastor, he was being vulnerable in a way that, especially from the time period he's from, was not easy. That was real. That his moment there with Alastor was like him letting down a guard that even existed when he was alive. And Alastor shit all over it.
Oh, you're serious?
Yeah, it's canon Vox liked Alastor in the past. It's sort of subtext, but it's very obvious subtext.
Starting off strong, Viv literally confirmed on Blue Sky that Vox had a crush on Alastor.
Which I feel like they didn't really need to clarify because season 1 gave us obvious hints, and season 2 literally spelled it out for us.
First of all, have you seen the bar scene?
If the way Vox scoots closer to Alastor and the way he literally looks like a teen boy about to confess his love to his senpai isn't enough for you, I don't know how to help you.
Like, the electricity over his head literally forms a heartbeat, bro. It is not subtle. But second of all, the way the writers chose to have Vox ask for a partnership and not a business partnership is so deliberate.
Especially considering in the episode before this, we got this scene.
Word is upstairs you used to know Pentious.
We were partners.
Oh! So you were like...
What? Lab partners!
It's almost like the writers wanted us to understand that the word partners could have a double meaning ahead of Vox's offer.
Even after the bar scene, Vox corrects himself when talking to Val about their relationship.
We have been partners in business.
Almost as if he was traumatized by wanting a partnership before. Also, I have like no evidence for this, but I think Vox is still mentally stuck in the closet.
Anyways, all of this is to say Vox's partnership proposal definitely had romantic connotations.
So no wonder why, after Alastor very kindly rejected Vox's offer,
confession,
he went off the fucking rails. The lyrics in Brighter make it clear Vox goes after and gets everything he wants no matter the cost.
So besides this rejection ripping out a piece of his soul he didn't even know he had,
it was also probably one of the only times he's had to deal with not having something he so desperately wanted before.
He couldn't kill or have the strongest sinner in hell, so he settled for attempting to get Alastor's validation instead. Which brings us to the question, does Vox still have a crush on Alastor?
Well, I think he definitely has a hate-based attraction for him. Alastor's flirting literally had Vox accepting the most suspicious deal on the planet, and there's just no straight explanation for any of these scenes.
A long-ass time ago, we were deep into the Hasbin wiki and found a transcript from an old livestream
where I think Hasbin's old comic artist described Vox's obsession with Alastor as something similar to a kiss nemesis.
Kiss nemesi?
Kiss nemesis from Homestuck.
And yeah, I can't find that doc again, but I think that totally fits.
Vox has an unhealthy obsession with Alastor, and he definitely doesn't love him in the same way he did back then. Because you wouldn't do this to someone you love.
So, the answer is...
But I hate him, and he will be mine, and I will destroy him. Trust me on that.
But alright, now that we understand Vox's side, let's finally talk about Alastor's side.
And why we think the bar scene is so great.
While we look at it through an Arrow Ace lens.
Because like we said in the beginning of this video, we are viewing Alastor as Arrow Ace.
Me and you, we could rule hell together as partners.
Oh, fuck!
A lot of people think Alastor is incapable of caring for others, which is a mindset that unintentionally plays into harmful ace stereotypes.
And is just straight up incorrect, because like, have you seen him in Nifty?
Gun!
Wait! Call off your goons!
Yeah, Alastor, that roach crown just magically ended up on your desk just cuz, huh?
Oh. We need to fix this shit.
Yeah. It's made out of actual sticks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I told you it was broken.
I'm sorry. Well, it's not broken yet.
This is the shit Alastor's keeping around his room and acting like he's not just keeping it for sentimental value.
Seriously.
It's literally trash with gum on it.
Asexuals in media are often portrayed as robotic and emotionless because a lot of people wrongly believe that sex and romance are innate parts of human nature. So therefore, if you don't have an inclination to engage in sex or romance, you must not be human. Now, we know Alastor is a fucked up serial killer cannibal demon in hell, but he's not the emotionless edgelord some fans think he is. Like our seahorse dad Amir said in this interview, if Alastor was an emotionless automaton, that would make for a very boring story.
I think it'd be such a boring answer if it was no.
Yeah.
You lose dramatic tension. Otherwise, you're just sort of a evil automaton. And I think it's pretty clear that Alastor's not that.
So I think it's obvious, Alastor did care for Vox as a friend. Yeah, we said friend Al, don't run.
And I respected you. And then you went and ruined it.
Personally, I think Alastor stating that Vox ruined their relationship is indicative of the fact that number one, Alastor thought there was something there to ruin. And number two, it shows that Alastor was possibly bitter about Vox wanting more from their non-friend friendship. Whether that's Alastor thinking Vox wanted a romantic relationship from him, or just wanted to use him for his power and then cast him aside.
You need me to join your team, but you still rely on others for your power, like always.
Now, do we think Alastor was sad about having to reject Vox in this moment? No. Because like Vivian says, he definitely enjoys being an asshole. But do we think after the fact he was at least a little bitter about it and a tad bit hurt? Yeah. First of all, Vox literally said they've been close for a few years now, and that people know them and love them together.
I mean, people know us, they love us.
Also, Alastor literally calls Vox his pal.
I'm listening, pal.
And looks very relaxed and content while listening to Vox actively mock him.
Well, you opened it yourself.
Like if they weren't friends, he wouldn't be giggling and kicking his feet. And lastly, Alastor even admits he respected Vox and said he almost considered Vox to be on his level.
And here I thought you might actually be approaching my level.
Which is honestly an insane thing for him to say because he literally sold his soul to be the strongest sinner in hell, but was gonna be fine with a supposed acquaintance reaching his level. Huh, weird. It's almost like Vox wasn't the only one who finally didn't mind sharing the spotlight with someone else for once. Although all of that doesn't mean Alastor thought Vox was his friend, cause bro has emotional problems we cannot even begin to unpack in this video. But let's just say he has an aversion to feelings.
I think that anyone is capable of genuine attachment. It's a matter of whether they're interested. I think that depending on what happens going forward, like it's a matter of priorities, right? If someone prioritizes something else over attachment, then that makes attachment less likely. So it just depends. Is he capable? Yes. Will we see it? To be determined.
Before Alastor even died, he wanted to make sure he wasn't going to be at the bottom of Hell's ecosystem, because in his life, he started from the bottom and had to work his way up, probably all while facing discrimination. So dare I say, Alastor hates feeling powerless and puts his endless pursuit of power above friendships, because he thinks that being the one pulling all the strings is going to fulfill him more than any relationship can. Yes, obviously, Alastor still has the ability to form friendships and literally has friends. He just doesn't want to admit that because he wants to be an edgy lone wolf, plus having friends would definitely make any evil master plan he has 10 times harder. But we see you lurking on the balcony like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, sir. You are not slick. So even though Alastor subconsciously viewed Vox as a friend, he also simultaneously views friendships as a weakness.
I just thought, since we're friends.
So, as soon as he was called out, he felt vulnerable, because admitting to having genuine emotions is uncharted territory for Alastor, which means he just had to pull an Uno reverse real quick.
There are no friends in hell, Vincent.
Your Honor, this was self-defense. Your Honor, this was necessary. He's still a fucking dickhead. Yeah.
So weak.
What?
Oh, fuck!
Okay, first of all, we know that Alastor partially overreacted to Vox's proposal due to the fact that Vox correctly claimed they were friends. But a lot of ace people like ourselves find this scene extra relatable because we as viewers know Vox had a massive crush on our ace king Alastor. This may sound strange, but this scene is fucking amazing ace representation because losing a friend after they develop romantic feelings for you is unfortunately such a canon ace event. Every ace person we know has gone through this exact scenario to some extent, and it can be really complicated and sad if you're not emotionally mature enough to work it out with the other person, especially if that other person is a bisexual man likely carrying internalized homophobia, and you are not just an ace in a hole, but an ace who's been trapped in a dungeon for the last 100 years. We're looking at you two emotionally constipated men. A fun fact, we predicted that Alastor rejected Vox by laughing in his face 2 months after season 1 aired. How? Do you ask? Well, because we saw Vox's proposal coming from a mile away, and much like Alastor, at one point we didn't know we were ace either.
What now?
Personally, I don't think Alastor cared. I think he laughed in his face when Vox confessed to him.
Yeah.
I knew he laughed in his face. I knew he laughed.
Oh my god. Personally, we think Alastor views friendship and partnerships on the same level of disgust. So in our minds, whether Alastor caught the romantic connotations to Vox's proposal doesn't matter because he'd react the same way regardless.
A partnership? There are no partners in hell, Vincent.
But we did manage to predict his reaction because, much like Alastor, in middle school we were also emotionally avoidant and asexual. Basically, we thought we were above other people because we didn't feel romantic or sexual attraction. I know it's cringe. When I was in my unaware ace phase and someone assumed I had a crush on anyone, or God forbid, I found out someone had a crush on me, oh, at first I'd get really offended.
Friends? How embarrassing.
Like, how dare you assume that of me, you mere mortal? I am a god amongst men. I would never stoop so low. But then I'd get super fucking embarrassed in the immature cooties kind of way. Like, bro, you think I want you? Like, who do you think I am? Now, not every ace person feels this way, and I am definitely projecting. But you cannot tell me Mr. Edgelord Alastor's reaction doesn't scream he thinks this exact same way. After Vox's proposal, Alastor was like, oh fuck, are you seeing this mischaracterization of me right now? Dude looks flabbergasted like he's being pranked.
Oh, you're serious!
Which could explain why he tried laughing it off. Alastor was literally projecting his own feelings onto Vox here.
How embarrassing.
He says Vox's genuine belief in a partnership is embarrassing because the idea of having a friend or possibly, like, imagine you think you found a really nice, close and equal palship or whatever you want to call it, only to realize they wanted more. This has happened to us individually, multiple times actually. Yeah. And honestly, it makes you feel betrayed, like said person ruined your relationship. And it really makes you think, oh, if only they hadn't confessed, our relationship wouldn't have had to fall apart.
And I respected you. And then you went and ruined it.
Historically, Alastor mostly avoids Vox, but still takes the time to fight and mock him, which is Alastor inadvertently allowing Vox to still be on his level. Personally, I think Vox and Alastor are both weirdly hanging on to their old relationship because they both cared about each other in their own weird ways.
Just watch, Alastor.
Vox still seeks Alastor's validation, and Alastor still gives Vox the time of day. Like, seriously, why haven't they killed each other yet? They are straight up play fighting in the finale. Anyways, what if I said if you're delusional enough, there's vague evidence to suggest that Alastor does in fact care about their past relationship in season 1. So we all know the iconic Roach Crown scene where Alastor basically admits in third person like a weirdo that he enjoys being at the hotel. But like this Twitter user pointed out, pay attention to what he admits. Alastor says,
"It's been a surprising thrill to witness these wayward souls find connection. Almost makes one sentimental, eh, Nifty?"
And sentimental for what, Alastor? Could Alastor watching people bond over drinks remind him of his life in general?
Sure. But who's the only wayward soul we've seen Alastor form a connection with via bar and drinking? This twink. Before episode 8, we didn't know exactly why Alastor was at the hotel, and therefore we didn't know why he was willing to fight for it. But this scene literally told us Alastor fought Adam purely out of sentimental nostalgia. The hotel gave him a similar feeling he had with Vox, and he fought to protect it. So, in a weird way, Alastor put his life on the line for Vox. Even if he doesn't like Vox now, he fought because he missed what they had. Now, don't jump us. We're not saying Alastor fought Adam while thinking of Vox. This was more of a subconscious thing he didn't realize. Alastor being unknowingly sentimental about Vox before the finale of season 1 is just more proof that he valued their friendship situationship. And in my mind, Alastor getting hurt in his fight with Adam is like history repeating itself. Cause in a way, he let himself care about Vox again and got her again. And this bitch unknowingly laughed about it twice.
What's wrong, old man? Getting your ass beat by Adam fuck you harder than you thought?
Alastor was only struggling to fight because he cared about you, you stupid blockhead. This doomed old man Yowie is gonna kill us. It really is, honestly. I think I might already be dead right now. Also, since we're being crazy and love wasting your time, might we add, not only does Vox ripping open Alastor's chest wound perfectly foreshadow Alastor and Vox sort of reopening their old wounds later in the episode, but it is also a perfect visual representation of what Vox always does to Alastor. He fucks with his heart. Bro is literally the fakest I don't give a fucker I have ever seen. Because he did at least platonically care for Vox, and he was hurt when they broke up. Which brings us back to how Alastor is extremely relatable to us asexuals. I know we're reading too much into this, but Alastor calling Vox a
fucking creep
with such vitriol makes me think he's been sitting on that insult for decades.
You're always doing that, and I hate it!
Alastor didn't seem too bothered when Vox put his hands on him in their flashback, but finding out your friend likes you romantically does recontextualize almost every moment you've had with them. If Alastor realized Vox liked him sometime after his offer confession, he probably began viewing their entire relationship under a, oh, so he was just trying to get in bed with me lens. So every friendly touch, every hangout, and every kind word now feels fake because it had an ulterior motive that you weren't aware of. And if you're possibly an aromantic and asexual person deep in the closet, that would feel like a massive betrayal.
Excuses and lies seem to still be your specialty.
You feel lied to? Interesting. Almost like there was trust there? Huh. Okay. But yeah, that would make you feel like that person is a creep, especially if that person keeps touching you afterwards. Vox, you are a fucking creep. But in all fairness, it seems like Vox is just a touchy guy. So it's low-key sad that before he confessed, Vox probably didn't even mean it like that. Probably. Also, this is a minor note, but some sex and romance repulsed era aces are touch-averse, like Alastor seems to be most of the time. So we love how the animators don't forget Alastor doesn't like to be touched. Like, there are a lot of scenes that show Alastor pulling away from or being annoyed by touch. So I love how Alastor used something only he would really notice against Vox. It kind of feels like he whipped out a secret ace superpower. It's really the tiny details that make Alastor such great ace rep because it shows how much the show cares about his identity. I've personally seen a lot of touch-averse ace people feel seen by Alastor, and seeing that always warms our hearts. You see me? I think we should have reworded that sentence. Yeah. I don't know why I wrote the word "see" 3 times. Okay, you might be thinking we're delusionally overanalyzing nonsense at this point, because we kind of are. Alastor being ace and Vox having a crush on him isn't spelled out to you. The uppercut! They tried running away from us. They can't escape us. Anyways, it's mostly subtext, which you can choose to read into or not. Will it be expanded upon later? I sure fucking hope so, and I sure fucking think so. But what I like about Has-Been is that Alastor being ace isn't his whole personality. And that conflict between Vox and Alastor isn't the only conflict they have. If you're queer, you're probably used to being subjected to shows that have a token queer character whose entire personality and plotline is tied to their sexuality, for better or worse. But in Has-Been Hotel, Well, not only is almost every character queer, but their queerness is often the least interesting thing about them. Alastor doesn't exist to teach you about asexuality, he just is asexual. Vox doesn't exist to teach you about homophobic bisexuals, he's just like that. And has been, being queer is just a happenstance, it's not the main driver for their personality or character, which is really what queer people want in their representation. We just want to be seen as people, and not just caricatures of our sexualities. I mean, I wouldn't mind if there was like an ace character who's really obsessed with garlic bread though, because garlic bread slaps. I really love garlic bread unironically. Although the fact that Has-Been doesn't shove the queer undertones of Vox and Alastor's relationship in your face can be a double-edged sword, because some people refuse to read the subtext.
I know you won't believe this, but I don't understand.
Which can not only cause YouTubers to feel the need to over-explain Vox and Alastor's relationship, like we did in the first half of this video, but it can also cause dumb drama, like what happened with the Spark Sprint. Here's a quick rundown. Basically, Amir Talai and Christian Borle, Alastor and Vox's voice actors, commissioned Silent Sound, an official Has-Been hotel artist, to make a Vox and Alastor flashback print for them to sign at conventions. All it depicted was Vox and Alastor hanging out like how they were implied to do in the show. Yes, there were a few jokes hidden in the print about Vox having a one-sided crush on Alastor, and Alastor being blind to that fact and blind to his fondness of Vox. But the way some people lost their marbles, you would have thought they were making out sloppy style in this print. It basically showed what was already implied through subtext and canon, but some people thought it was too shippy. So Silent Sound and Amir had to unfortunately backpedal and tell people the print wasn't official art. Okay, we know the song Silent Sound put over the post The Thrill of First Love is a romantic song, and Streamily did shamelessly promote it on Valentine's Day. But come on guys, The Thrill of First Love is just a fun callback to Christian Borle's role in falsettos. Plus, I think the title and the relationship dynamic shown in the song is very Vox and Alastor. Like they were two wayward souls finding connection and experiencing the thrill of genuine love for the first time. Whether you want to believe it was platonic love or not is between you and your AO3 search history. Don't even get us started on the other songs they were gonna choose, but our point is, literally none of the voice actors to our knowledge have ever commissioned a print that didn't align with canon. And before you mention the Husker Dust kissing print, yeah, I know they aren't canon in the show yet, but we all know their endgame. Call me crazy, but I think it's crazy that they even had to come out and say this print wasn't canon too. Aww. Okay, yes, these prints aren't canon because we haven't seen these events in the show, but I just think it's sad some people lost their minds over information that really isn't new. Speaking of people losing their minds though, let's finally talk about the scene we've been avoiding talking about ever since we saw it 7 months ago.
That's the worst thing Vox has ever done.
Today was perfect. Right, Val?
Uh-huh, sure, babe.
And what do you think, Alastor?
One of the most damaging and harmful misconceptions about asexuality is that asexual people are simply confused and inexperienced, and that they'll change their minds once they've had sexual experiences. Not only does this viewpoint dismiss asexuality, but it also perpetuates rape culture and corrective rape. And although there is limited research on asexual survivors of sexual assault, the 2015 Asexual Community Census Summary Report found that 35% of asexual participants reported having sexual contact that they didn't consent to. 18% of asexual participants reported having sex due to social pressure from a partner, and 43% of asexual participants reported having experienced sexual violence. Also, according to the 2018 UK National LGBT Survey, asexual people are likelier than any other group under the queer umbrella to have undergone or be offered conversion therapy. Personally, we've also talked to a lot of other aces, and all we have to say is that those statistics are unfortunately very accurate. So we understand why a lot of fans had such a strong and negative reaction to Vox sexually assaulting Alastor. Like we said, a lot of ace people relate to or feel seen by Alastor, so we understand that having to watch a character who means so much to you go through a real issue ace people or you may have faced could feel like a personal slight or slap in the face, especially if you think this scene was played off as a joke. But controversially, we think this scene was actually necessary and was done done pretty tastefully compared to what they could have done and what they have done. First of all, this joke was used as a tone shift to transition from Vox's cartoonishly self-indulgent celebration montage to a serious film noir style interrogation scene, which puts it in a weird gray area because yes, they expect you to laugh at the initial reveal of Alastor in the Cuck Chair, but they then also force you to sit in the uncomfortableness of the moment. If this was truly a joke only written for a funny montage, it would have been a close-up of Alastor's face as you hear like sex noises and see clothes flying around. We all know what Helva Boss is capable of. The Helliverse knows how to write over-the-top sex jokes. They could have easily stuck this in the middle of the montage, but they didn't do that. The writers deliberately chose to show the aftermath of what we know happened instead of the actual sex scene. Plus, they let you sit in it instead of moving on too quickly, which is honestly impressive for a show that often struggles with pacing due to Daddy Amazon's 8-episode limit. The cast and Viv have literally spoken multiple times about how hard it is to be given even a few extra seconds in an episode.
I remember there being a conversation where like Viv said like, oh yeah, like was saying something about like we got 15 more seconds or like we only had 15 seconds left and I was happy because it allowed me to tell a lot more of the story. And I was like, what do you mean 15 seconds? And it really is like that in animation. Like if you get just a bit more of time, like every single second counts, every single frame counts.
So having this scene linger for as long as it did was insanely intentional. The background music is even a slower version of the music we hear during the interrogation scene, which proves to us that their intention was for this scene to be taken at least a little bit seriously.
Look at all this.
But speaking of the interrogation scene, Vox could have been possibly interrogating Alastor in a room full of sex toys and Alastor memorabilia. Now, this is alleged, but as you guys know, when Has Been Hotel Season 2 got leaked back in 2024, we unfortunately got early access to character sheets, storyboards, full episodes, and songs. 80% of the leaks were real, 20% of them were fake, but interestingly, 0.3% of them were real and got changed sometime during production. Like this still frame of the V-Tower was real, but the text on the billboards ended up being changed to something way less funny in my opinion. Now, this leak was never confirmed to be real or fake because it's never appeared in the show, and to our knowledge, no one's identified the OG artist. But if it was real, as it does look similar to other real leaks that came out alongside it, it's nice to know they cycled through different versions of the scene we ended up getting. Originally, it seemed like they combined the interrogation scene with the sex joke scene, which I think would have been way too over the top, cartoony, and would have taken away from the serious tone the rest of the episode had, so I'm glad they potentially changed it. Again, this image could very well be fake, but we're bringing it up because it's a good example of what a bad version of this scene could look like. We love that out of all of the things they could have done, the writers chose to do something that was darker, more grounded, and more adult.
Isn't this nice?
Up until this point in the story, Vox's obsession with Alastor in Season 1 and 2 had been played completely for laughs, but this scene shatters that shit like a baseball bat to a face made of glass, because immediately after it, we learn just how real, deep, and human Vox and Alastor's silly little rivalry actually is.
You're inspiring.
And I respected you.
So, dare we say the Cuck Chair was actually very necessary for both of their characters. Which we know sounds crazy since you've probably heard a plethora of colorful critiques when it comes to this scene, which we're gonna get into right now. But for starters, we saw a few people claim that they made Alastor ace just so they can sexually assault him, and no. Even if Alastor was straight or just straight up gay, Vox still would have done this because he just didn't like being told no. Everything Vox did this season screamed, look at what we could have had if you just said yes to me. Like this whole montage was Vox essentially saying, we could have had fame, a cool team, date nights, crazy sex, and went to heaven together, but no, you just had to make me publicly humiliate you.
And to think you could have had this all, and without the public humiliation,
Before season 2, we learned that Vox was a professional creepy-ass stalker who was literally business partners with not only a rapist, but with someone who makes probably date rape drugs. So knowing he has an uncontrolled grudge crush against Alastor made us super scared for season 2. The fuck Alastor mug had us sweating, and all of these other not-so-subtle jokes started to feel like scary foreshadowing.
I am so hard right now!
The point is, we knew Vox was most likely gonna try something sexual with Alastor in season 2, but we weren't sure just how far Has-Been Hotel would go. Because honestly, if he didn't at least try to sexually harass Alastor in some way, it wouldn't make sense for his character based on, like, everything we've talked about in this video so far. If, you just skip to this section, definitely go back. But we're glad they didn't pull away from showing Vox sexually assaulting Alastor, because this is something the show has told us time and time again he's not morally against. And like we said, this "I'll show you what you're missing" type of assault unfortunately happens to ace people a lot, so weirdly it's great ace representation. Although, don't get it twisted, we're not saying we're happy Alastor had to go through that. Don't cancel us, please! We don't wish sexual assault on anybody, not even serial killer cannibals. But next, when season 2 was airing, we saw a handful of people echoing the sentiment that the sexual assault was somehow worse for Alastor because he's ace. Which is crazy because number one, this situation would be equally as terrible for an allosexual person to go through. But number two, measuring how bad someone's trauma is based on their sexuality is a weird slippery slope. It's like saying, oh, Angel being sexually assaulted isn't as bad as Alastor being assaulted because Angel enjoys sex. Like, girl, what? That makes no sense. What's worse is that we even saw a few people go as far as to say that if Alastor was not visibly traumatized by this in the future, VisiPop is bad at writing. And oh my god, both of these statements just show how a lot of people like to infantilize asexuals. Now, there's no way to say this next part without sounding insanely victim-blamey, but come on guys, Alastor knew exactly the type of person he was dealing with when he made his deal with Vox.
I know you're watching. Come on out. No need to be shy, Vox.
And going back to what Sam Half said, Alastor's whole thing is that he's willing to do anything to have everything, even at his own expense, which is very evident here. We don't know if Alastor expected Vox to sexually assault him, but even if he knew the Cuck Chair was in his future, I think he would have went through with the deal anyway because that's kind of his whole thing. Like, his ass knew Vox was probably gonna electrocute the shit out of him, and he willingly chose the electric chair. The Cuck Chair scene is meant to show just how far both Vox and Alastor have sunk in their desperate pursuits of power. This is a low moment for both of them. Vox accepted the most suspicious deal on the planet and had sex in front of his rival just to make his insecure ass feel like he had power over the one person who made him feel powerless. And Alastor reached his last straw and decided to give himself up to his creepy-ass stalker in a last-ditch attempt to finally get out of his deal. This scene only happened because they both weren't mentally doing so hot. Alastor's just lucky his master plan and manipulation tactics ended up working out. But that's where the comedy of this scene comes in. Yes, it's a sexual assault joke, but the real joke is that these two are fucking insane. You are meant to laugh because it is ridiculous and absurd, although we don't think the comedy takes away from its narrative weight. As far as Alastor feeling affected by it goes, I think he'll be fine. At most, he looks exhausted and at some points vaguely annoyed and rightfully disgusted because, girl, I wouldn't want to see Vox's tiny dick either. And Vox Sims, don't be writing me essays about what you think about that in the comments. I don't want to hear that, no. But okay, we feel like part of the reason some people want to see Alastor be very emotionally affected by this in the future is because they have the mindset of, oh, I'm ace and I would be affected by it, but he's not you, babe. Like we said, Alastor is more than just an asexual man. Being forced to watch two people have sex is terrible for anybody to go through. But guys, Alastor enjoys killing people in cold blood for fun, and we've literally seen him tear people apart and laugh while doing it. I think he might be okay. He's probably witnessed worse on his walks around hell, considering they canonically play bukkake shows casually on the street. Plus, from the little we've seen, it seems like at most, Alastor has a disinterest in sex.
Never going to happen.
And is not flat out repulsed at the sight or mention of it. Thinking every asexual person is an innocent nun that can't handle any form of indecency plays into negative ace stereotypes. types. Every ace person has a different level of tolerance, just like any other person, because again, say it with us, asexuality is a spectrum. Once again, even if Alastor is confirmed to be aromantic and asexual, arrow ace people can still be in relationships and have sex if they want to. Who knows? Maybe back in the 20s, Alastor attended a few petting parties or something, I don't know. If you don't know what those are, we're not gonna pack that for you. Sorry. Google is free. Anyways, we do think this scene will play a part in Alastor and Vox's overall character arcs, because it's already made Alastor's hatred for Vox worse.
You fucking creep.
Although we don't think it's likely that this scene will ever be explicitly brought back up again, because it really did what it needed to do. The show doesn't have to hold our hands and tell us what Vox did was bad. We know it was, and Alastor doesn't seem like the type to be seriously traumatized by it. But with all of that being said, we don't think the Helliverse always tactfully depicts sexual assault, but we think this scene was done pretty well.
There are no friends in hell, Vincent. I thought that was something you understood. How embarrassing.
Ever since Viv confirmed that they are going to explore Alastor's asexuality in the show, I've seen a few people say it doesn't make sense for his character arc, but we think it does. Hear us out. But first, if you like Alastor like us, or some other characters that aren't him for some reason, check out our shop, link in the description of this video. We spent way too long on this video, and we're probably only gonna make $5, so help us out, please. Anyways, back to the video. Like we said earlier, in season 1, Alastor basically admitted he was growing fond of the people at the hotel. Then he crashed out because he almost died altruistically for them. And then in season 2, he regressed so hard he refused to help anyone but himself, because having feelings scared the fuck out of him.
Alastor, shouldn't you help her?
Should I? Perhaps. Will I? No.
And lastly, we learned that he thinks genuine friendships are a weakness. So no matter if Alastor's character arc ends up going in a positive or negative direction, he's gonna have to confront his feelings on relationships, because the story is literally setting that up as his main point of internal conflict.
You don't actually give a shit about this tacky place, do ya? Come on, I know you heartless son of a bitch.
And I think him realizing he's some flavor of ace would be the reality check he so desperately needs. Stay with us. Alastor thinks he doesn't need anyone, probably because he's had to do everything alone his entire life. And lacking sexual attraction and probably romantic attraction likely only adds fuel to his lone wolf fire. So if Al ever found out he was ace, it would break his sense of self. Like, dude, you're not ascending to godhood, you're just asexual, and that's normal. There's other people like you, you're not some sort of inhuman monster, even though you want to be perceived that way. Seriously, I know Alastor is a bad person, but he fully commits to the demon bit a little too hard.
Baby, I'm a demon in hell. It's kind of our thing.
Anyways, our point is, Alastor likes to pretend like he doesn't have any human emotions or connections, even though he obviously does. Cause like Alastor, why have you kept Mimsy around for 100 years when she's apparently nothing but trouble? Why did you keep Nifty's roast crown? And why are you watching everybody form relationships with each other from the fucking balcony while thinking about your ex-friend? I feel like if Alastor's character arc is gonna end on a positive note, it could possibly end with him realizing he does care about people and that having emotions is okay. Now, we're not saying Alastor won't end up in a romantic or queer platonic relationship, but we personally love the idea of a lone wolf character not just ending up with a love interest, but sort of ending up in a community. Historically, ace people tend to really value platonic relationships and find them just as significant and fulfilling as romantic ones. So the fact that Alastor could be naturally predisposed to valuing friendship more than most people would be so ironic in the best fucking way. Yeah. Like, just imagine Mr. Friends being like, friends. Actually, friends. Actually, wow, lots of friends. What the fuck? Holy shit. Alastor having a scar over his heart. This old drawing Viv drew in response to the question, what does Alastor want most? His pre-pilot last name possibly being heartfelt, and him literally dodging hearts in his fight with Valentino means something, we swear. Okay, now, do we think all of that development is going to happen next season? No. But Alastor is allegedly playing a major part in season 3, which is going to have romance and family as some of its major themes. So all we're saying saying is the stage is being set for an eventual friendship is magic arc, and Alastor realizing he's some flavor of ace could fit perfectly in there. And just wait until Angel and Alastor speak more than one line of dialogue to each other. Angel will clock his ass so quick, trust us. In a world where asexual people are experiencing a decline in acceptance and visibility, it's nice to have a show that not only acknowledges asexual people exist, but also celebrates them. The fact that we can sit here and make an hour-long video about Alastor being ace is honestly amazing, cause the fact that we have that many Twitter arguments we can base this video around is honestly beautiful. Like, we might get death threats for the Cuck Chair section of this video, but hey, at least we all know what asexuality is. The fact that because of Alastor, we can walk into a hot topic and see ace merch is fucking amazing, considering how unknown asexuality still is. The fact that we can joke with his voice actor about being asexual and he gets it freaks me out every time. Yeah, but it's also sweet considering the fact that Amir didn't know what asexuality was before playing Alastor. And maybe we got teary-eyed after he reposted our video about us being ace, but you didn't hear that from us. The fact that the show has inspired so many people to start writing ace-centered fanfictions has added literal years onto my life. Here's some recommendations for making it this far. You're welcome. And lastly, the fact that Alastor just existing has inadvertently created such a strong ace community fucking rocks. Fun fact, 80% of Has-Been fans are ace. If you're watching this video right now, you are ace. And we know it. Even if you don't know it, we know it. Anyways, was this video partially just a giant excuse to talk about Vox and Alastor?
Maybe.
But like, come on, the concept of a homophobic bisexual cult leader being obsessed with somebody else, and that somebody else being an emotionally avoidant, deeply closeted asexual man is so fucking peak. They're truly a match made in hell. Our point is, we can't wait to see what Has-Been Hotel has in store for Alastor, and we're really grateful for the ace representation, even if it all isn't overt yet. But whoo, after season 3 comes out, part 3 to this video is gonna be like 5 hours long, so stay tuned for that. But just remember, to dream is to expand your imagination and to create a reality. Anything's possible and things don't have to make sense. See you on our next video, if there is another one. Goddamn, we talk too much. This video almost fucking killed us. Okay, bye.